Hello and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, got a video here for you from Lewis Jackson, very prominent XRP influencer, and he's done a video here. Basically, one of the main topics that he's discussed is talking about price predictions, and I found this video just on the whole very interesting. So there's a few things that he's talked about here and a few things that I also want to address and just, add my little 2 cents into, because there's a few topics here that have been covered. And one, I just think some of the information is just interesting to hear. And two, there's just things that I just want to, add my own little opinion to. So let's get into it. Right. So the first thing he talks about is just the Bitcoin ETF, and how basically he was saying that the Bitcoin ETF was never going to be like a big deal. Like, he wasn't surprised in terms of how the Bitcoin ETF turned out, because these kind of things are never really going to be the big blow up that people think. Now, I agree and disagree with Lewis here in regards to that, and I'll explain why. Because he's right in one aspect completely, and that's in regards to the actual event, i.e. the actual day. That's never usually going to be the euphoria that people expect it to. And I've said this before, like when you're investing in the stock market or the crypto market, whenever there's an anticipated day for something big to happen and, you're expecting something huge to happen, the price is never usually just going to react how you want it to. And I do think part of that is by design, because it's like I've said before, if investing was that easy, everybody would be making money, right? Like, we'd be making money hand over fist. It'd be very easy. Like, oh, there's a Bitcoin ETF coming out. Right, let me just invest millions into that now. Oh, it takes off. Great. And it's just shot up like 1,000%. Oh, great. Now I've just made even more millions and sell. I don't ever really think it's going to be that straightforward, right? The other thing is, and this is what I will say Lewis had mentioned, and I do agree with this, is usually with this kind of thing, it's buy the rumor, sell the news. So you hear the murmurs that the Bitcoin ETF is going to get approved. It's all sounding good. And then if you look, the price was already going up in anticipation. So a lot of people have already brought in. And so when the price does start to pump, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to take those profits, right? Because just think about it like this. If you're a wealthy individual and you've got a good amount of money that you can put in, and you hear, it's looking like this Bitcoin ETF is going to get approved. Okay, so you put your money in because you're wealthy, so you can afford to just put in, let's just say, $50,000 or $100,000, right? Once the market starts rallying a bit and Bitcoin really does go up, like, let's just say, 5%, for them, they can still easily make a good few $1,000s. They could still make, thousands of dollars just from that kind of price action. Now, imagine if you're putting millions in, right? You could make hundreds of thousands of dollars just from 5-10% increases, right? So for people who've got money, this is just like a quick flip for them. Just get in, wait for the price to go up a few percent, jump out. That's it. And that's when the market starts to plummet again, because people are taking profits. So I do completely understand that concept, right? But the thing about this, and I've said this on my channel before, is that what you've got to understand with the Bitcoin ETF is what this is now going to do for the long haul. Because I said in my channel before, I do think this can be a thing that will aid with the bull run for crypto, right? And I do think this ETF is playing a part in that. Now, just because you're not seeing the price action right now, doesn't mean that that's not helped be a catalyst towards it, because what you've got to understand is the long-term aspect of this now, the long-term implications that this is going to have. This is now going to be like Wall Street and all these places, Wall Street and all these finance firms now basically promoting crypto to just the average people. So the buying opportunities now are going to be way bigger. The adoption is going to be way higher. So to me, the fact that that's now going to happen, there's just going to be more mainstream money going into the market. So it's not necessarily just about the effect that it has on the day, it's about the long-term impact. And obviously what affects Bitcoin will affect the whole crypto market, thus helping, cryptos like XRP, HBAR, etc., etc. So for me, although I agree with him in regards to the event, like the day event, I still think that overall, this is a huge thing. I don't think this was like a nothing burger. I still think this is going to play a huge role in regards to the cryptos taking off in the alt season bull run. If that's going to happen this year, I think this will be one of the big catalysts towards that. Okay, so then we've got Lewis talking about an XRP ETF. And one of the things he says here is that he's actually spoken to like UK law firms who've actually been talking about trying to bring out an ETP in December just gone. So they was actually trying to get one out. I mean, look, if he's spoken to firms, then obviously, he's going to have information that I'm not privy to, of course. So I've got no reason to believe that he's lying there. My only thing with this, and I think it will be different in terms of the UK, because obviously I don't think they will have to answer to the US. So I assume that's the case. Obviously in America, an XRP ETF, I just don't really see it happening anytime soon because it's the SEC who would need to approve this. And I think they are very bitter over the loss in the lawsuit. I do not think they like that at all. I don't think they're going to do Ripple any favors at this point. I think anything they can do to make their life any more harder than what it already is, they will do. So I just don't think they will approve a XRP ETF. I just can't see that personally. I'd be very surprised. And yes, maybe Ripple could take them to court to get it approved and whatnot. Yeah, that's fine. But again, like, how long could that maybe take, right? That could be another year of a lawsuit. I don't know. The Grayscale one, I don't know how long that took, so I can't really say. But yeah, I'm just looking at that. I'm just thinking the likelihood of that, probably slim. Now, okay, we could talk about the UK bringing out an ETP. Okay, cool. Let's just say that does happen. Let's say they bring out an ETP this year. The thing for me is it's not going to be as good as if you get an American one. You really do want an American one because whether we like it or not, America is one of the biggest world economies, if not the biggest. It's, it's massive. So you really don't want to lose the American demographic, right? You really don't want to lose those potential buyers. And it's just not going to be as effective. Right? Like if you've not got the American audience buying in or whatever, the American customers, it's not going to get as high. It's not going to be as effective. So I just realistically, I'm not saying that it will just completely flop, but I just don't think it's going to be at its true potential. Like really you want it to be opened in America, to be honest with you, to have the best effect that it possibly can. So in regards to the XRP ETF, I've kind of sidelined that personally in my head at this point because I'm not really sure that that's going to happen anytime soon. Obviously time will tell, but I'm not ruling it out, but I'm just not really looking at it for me anytime soon right now. Okay, so another point that he made that I found quite interesting here, and this is obviously Lewis having these connections with him being a big influencer at this point, is that he said that he's spoken to many corporations and they all basically keep saying, the common thing that he keeps hearing them say is Solana and ETH. They want to work with Solana and ETH and develop on Solana and ETH. Now, yeah, like this is one of those things where we've just got to have a reality check, guys. Like I don't like it, you guys don't like it. We are XRP holders. Okay. For me, in terms of Solana, I don't know if this is one of those things where Solana's getting mentioned so much now because of how it's been going on lately with its price. I don't know if that's been getting, people seeing the price, so it's been getting a lot more media attention, and so people are seeing it and thinking that just equates to a good blockchain. I'm really not sure because I'll be honest, like this isn't to slam Solana because I'm really not researched enough to talk too deep on Solana. But from what I have heard with Solana, they've had like network issues before, like network outages and stuff like that before. And I also believe they've had issues with centralization. Now, I will say in Solana's defense, and this is me just being neutral and objective here, obviously people say that XRP centralized and it's clearly not. So I do not know if that's just one of those things where like people say Solana centralized and it's clearly not, but I'm not researched in it enough to be able to say one way or the other. But yeah, like I've heard a few things about Solana just having just general issues, take away the centralization aspect, just problems with the network. So I'm just a bit curious as to why they would want Solana. So that's where I just think, is it just because it's what's popping right now? It's just like the in thing, so everybody's asking questions. Ethereum, I don't like it, but I'm not surprised. Like, to me, with Ethereum, this is exactly what ETHgate was all about. This is exactly what it was all about. It was about Ethereum putting themselves in the better position. Because I do think if the lawsuit hadn't happened, this would have possibly have been like XRP and Solana or XRP and Ethereum. I think that's very possible. So this is where the frustrations come in, because yeah, Ethereum have got the advantage because they didn't have a lawsuit on them for 3 years, right? Now, I will say, granted, one thing I will just admit with Ethereum has got smart contracts, which XRP doesn't have. So I will just admit this one thing, that it could be that they want a smart contract based platform. Obviously, XRP is more designed for payments, so it doesn't really have that functionality. You can obviously use the Zahao network if you want as an alternative, but obviously we're talking as XRP holders. But yeah, it could be because of the smart contract thing. I'll obviously admit that, but yeah, like I do think this is one of those things with Ethereum. It really is more of a thing of it's had that time. It's like Bitcoin, right? Like, we all know Bitcoin functionally is basically useless, right? It's really deemed more of a store of value rather than, like a functional cryptocurrency that can, solve all these use cases. It doesn't do that. Really, people just look at Bitcoin as a store of value. So when I think from that aspect, that's what I think it is with Ethereum. Like, it's not to say that Ethereum doesn't do anything, but it's like, it's one of the first of its kind. It was the first smart contract crypto, right? And so a lot of people are more comfortable with Ethereum because it's just been around for longer. Do you see what I'm saying? So, yeah, not really a great thing to hear, to be honest. But again, I do question the reasons for those choices. And, this is where now XRP are almost done with the lawsuit because they're not completely done. So I'm not going to say it's over till it's over. I think really we probably just need to get this really done and dusted before the true negotiations can really happen. But that's what's next for them to get this sorted. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to get to here, and I found this very, very interesting, was Lewis talking about price predictions. And stick with me here because I did find this a very interesting thing, and I have to give a bit of respect here to Lewis. So he talks about price predictions, and he's basically saying, what his opinion is of price predictions. If I just give it a very long story short, he's basically saying the problem with price predictions, in his opinion, is that they're based on so many factors they're basically scenario-based factors as to why they would give a price prediction, right? So if I could give you an example, I'd say, okay, Ripple manages to get every bank in the world to use XRP. So XRP is going to be, let's say, $10,000 as they go with, right? Well, you're talking about a scenario where every single bank in the world uses XRP. That's not guaranteed, guys. As much as this technology is great, it's not a guarantee. Like, if you look at what Lewis just said, Lewis has said corporations have been talking about using Solana and Ethereum. We've got to live in reality here, guys. Not every company are going to want to work with XRP. That's just the cold truth of the matter. My eyes are very wide open to this. I'm very accepting of that. I still think XRP is a great investment, but I'm not under the belief that every bank is going to use XRP. And so this is the type of thing that we're talking about. Like, when people are giving certain types of price predictions, they're giving you factors that are not really guaranteed. They're almost like dream-based scenarios. And I agree. This is why I don't give price predictions on my channel. Like, I'll say what I think is reasonable and what I think is, a very big exaggeration and what I don't think is personally possible. But I don't give price predictions because I really can't say. I don't know. Right? But I can just tell you what I think will happen in the likelihood. I can't tell you what the price will be, but I can tell you what I think will be likely. I think XRP will be much higher than what it currently is in the long term. But yeah, I can't give an actual price prediction because I really don't know. And this is why I do give a bit of credibility. Not to say that all chart analysts are right, because that's 100% not the case. But I give a bit more credence to chart analysts because they're reading chart data, they're reading historical patterns and things like that. So they're actually using something to give them the information and the price that they are giving you, right? They're not really just pulling it out of thin air. Now, don't get me wrong, just because they are doing that doesn't guarantee that they're going to be right. But I do think it adds a bit of a layer to give it a bit more credibility. And for example, blockchain backer, I've seen him make right calls. I've seen him make accurate calls before. So it is possible that if you can read the data well, it's possible that you can get it right. Now, it is also possible that you can get some things right and then another thing wrong. That's just the way it goes, right? So for me personally, with price predictions, I'm open to listen to them, but depending on where it's coming from and how the information has been gained, that will decide as to whether I take it in fully or not. Now, the other thing that came after this was someone asked him a question in regards to people bringing out videos with price predictions. And this is where I felt it got really interesting. And, you know, the first thing that Louis said is the reason why a lot of people do price predictions, you know, with high prices and stuff like that, is for views. And he was basically talking about how at the beginning of his channel, he would do videos about price predictions and stuff like that. And he just said, you know, like back then, he didn't really think people would really care for his opinion, and he didn't realize the gravity that his words would have on people. And he basically said, you know, he would never do those type of videos again. He wouldn't. And I have to give Louis some respect here. I really do, because when he did say this at first, when he spoke about views, the first thing I did think to myself was like, I agree with you, but I know you've done that type of stuff yourself as well. And, you know, so the fact that he addressed it and he's taken like the accountability that he has, I have to give him respect for that, because it shows that he's grown and now, you know, he's changed his stance in how he wants to do his content. And this is the thing that I will say here. I think, and I'll tell you a little story as I go along with this. I think what's happened with Louis is that he originally did believe in the content that he was putting out. And I think what's happened is over time, seeing things not happen that he thought was going to happen, and also him now having actual connections, because he actually says in the video that he actually has connections to people with like Ripple and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a thing now where he realizes that a lot of the content that he was putting out, it wasn't as realistic as he would have originally imagined. Now, look, I will say this. I don't speak to Louis, but he has acknowledged my channel before. I won't get into that again because I addressed it on a prior video, but he has supported my content because I respectfully debated one of his videos about H-bar. But I've actually seen Louis's whole come up. So I know how his whole come up like started. I remember like when he was a tiny channel, you know, really small, and he was actually in a crypto influencer's Discord, and he was following this crypto influencer. I'm not going to say the name because I just don't think this is really necessary, but this was an influencer who really believes in like high price XRP or that kind of stuff. And I think he believed in the content that that guy was putting out, because he was putting that content out. He was doing videos based on XRP, going to certain figures based on certain information, blah, blah, blah. And I think he was following that same thought process, right? He was doing his own investigation, and I think he was leading to the same beliefs as this other influencer. And so this is the thing. This is why I will give Louis a bit of leeway here, because I know people who still believe in these high price XRP theories. So if he genuinely believed that at the time when he was creating that content, I have to give him the leeway there, because it's different if you're making the content knowing it's not realistic but just making it anyway for views, as opposed to if you genuinely believe that at the time, you're doing videos on what you think is possible, right? Because if he genuinely thought that was possible at the time, he's just telling you his opinion. And so I think that's the problem there. I think he was following another influencer who had done this type of content. He felt that that content was accurate. He's took that in. He's done research, came to the same similar conclusions from his research. So he's believing that now as well. And I think that's ultimately what's led this whole thing to get to this point. Now I think obviously he's more seasoned, he's gone through more stuff about XRP, he's seen things come and go, like the ISO migration, that kind of thing. Like he's seen these kind of things come and go and show you that this stuff was never meant to be like these flick the switch moments. And I think he's changed his position now. I think he's changed what he believes about XRP. So I just have to give respect there to Lewis about that, because I think it's great when people can take accountability and, you know, change their stance. I think that is fine. You know, people can change the stance. That is okay. I don't think that's a thing of him never believing. I think that's just maybe over time him changing his stance. That's fine. That can happen. But I did find this really interesting. I did find it a very interesting video. And so, you know, you've got some information there to take in, and there was a lot to cover. But overall, some great points made here, and I thought it was a real good video. So if you guys want to check it out, feel free. It's on Lewis Jackson's channel. But very interesting video. But what do you guys think? Lewis Jackson talking about XRP and price predictions. Do you like the sound of this from what you've heard? Do you agree with Lewis's opinion in regards to price predictions? Do you think anything that you've heard from this video will be good for XRP's price? Or do you not agree with this? Is there anything that you've heard in this video or from Lewis that you do not like the sound of? Or do you just not think that anything that's been mentioned is going to be good for XRP's price overall? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.